A rider leans a bicycle against a shop wall. The frame costs more than most used cars. Every gram of it was fought for, machined away, engineered out, until the number on the box became the entire selling point. Lighter, the label promises, which means faster. 20 minutes later, on the same climb, another rider passes him. Her bike weighs almost a kilogram more. It cost a third of the price, and she is not slowing down. That contradiction sits at the center of one of cycling's oldest, most expensive obsessions. For decades, riders have been told that weight is the thing to chase, the number that matters most, the upgrade worth saving for. Shops sell it, brands build entire marketing campaigns around it, and most cyclists have never actually been shown the physics behind the claim. So we're going to answer one question honestly. Does a lighter bike actually make you faster? Or are cyclists paying exponentially more money for something that barely moves the needle for how they actually ride? Start with what's true, because some of it is. Gravity does not negotiate. When a road tilts upward, every additional kilogram of rider and bike has to be lifted, meter by meter, the entire way up. On a sustained climb, the power required to hold a given speed rises in almost direct proportion to total weight. Take a kilogram off the bike, and on a long enough hill, at a hard enough effort, you will genuinely go faster. That part of the marketing is not a lie. But look closer at the number, and the story changes. Take a typical rider and a typical few hundred grams saved by upgrading a mid-range carbon frame to a flagship one. Run that through the numbers on a serious climb, and the time saved is usually measured in single-digit seconds, not minutes, seconds.
Often fewer seconds than the difference between a good night's sleep and a bad one, or a slightly stronger headwind, or simply pushing a little harder in the final kilometer. Now take that same bike onto flat ground, into a headwind, at a normal club ride pace. The physics flip completely. Aerodynamic drag does not increase in a straight line with speed. It increases with the cube of it. Push twice as fast, and you are not fighting twice the air resistance. You are fighting roughly 8 times as much. At the speeds most enthusiast riders actually hold on flat and rolling terrain, air resistance can account for the large majority of the total effort. Weight on that same ride becomes almost irrelevant, mattering mostly in the brief seconds after a stop sign or a sharp attack out of a corner. There is a rough threshold where the balance tips. Once a sustained gradient climbs into roughly the 4 to 6% range, weight starts to genuinely dominate the equation. Below that, on the rolling roads most people actually train on, aerodynamics and rolling resistance are doing more work than the number on the scale. This is why the same shop that sells you a lighter frame rarely mentions that a better set of tires at a fraction of the price will often save more real-world time than the frame upgrade ever could. Tires affect rolling resistance on every single ride, in every condition, not just on the one long climb a year where weight briefly matters most. Follow the money, and the curve gets even harder to justify. The first weight you ever buy is the cheapest weight you'll ever buy. Moving from a heavy entry-level aluminum bike to a solid mid-range carbon bike sheds real weight for a modest, reasonable price.
But keep climbing the price ladder and the curve bends sharply against you. Going from a good carbon frame set to a flagship one, or from decent carbon wheels to a boutique flagship set, might save a few hundred more grams for a price increase that can dwarf everything spent before it. By the time you're paying for the final few hundred grams anywhere in a bike's build, you are almost always deep into the most expensive, least productive part of the entire curve. Diminishing returns isn't a warning label the industry puts on the box, it's simply what the numbers show every time. So why does the industry keep selling weight above almost everything else? Partly because it's the easiest performance claim a rider can verify themselves. You cannot weigh aerodynamic drag in your garage. You cannot easily measure stiffness or compliance with a bathroom scale. But weight you can check in seconds, and that makes it the most persuasive number in the entire showroom. There's also a rule most consumers have never heard of, sitting quietly behind 25 years of bicycle design. Professional racing has enforced a minimum bike weight since the early 2000s, a floor just under 7 kilograms, originally set for safety and to slow down an escalating engineering arms race. Once frames could be built below that limit, professional teams had nothing left to gain by going lighter, so engineering efforts shifted towards aerodynamics, stiffness, and ride quality instead, while marketing, aimed at consumers who are not bound by any weight floor at all, kept talking about grams as if the chase had never ended. There's a second effect worth understanding, one that gets exaggerated more than almost anything else in cycling marketing: rotating weight. Mass at the rim of a wheel does take slightly more energy to accelerate than the same mass sitting still on a frame, because you're spinning it as well as moving it forward. That effect is real. It matters during hard accelerations, in a sprint, in a criterium, punching out of a tight corner. But during steady-state riding, once a wheel is up to speed, most of that extra energy is recovered, not lost. For a rider doing long, steady efforts rather than repeated bursts, the dramatic language brands use around rotating mass rarely matches the modest real-world benefit. This is also where independent testing earns its keep. Engineers and coaches who actually want an honest answer don't just weigh a bike and guess. They run controlled climb tests at matched power output, roll-down tests on closed sections of road, and repeated efforts with a power meter to strip out wind, fatigue, and human variation from the result. When that kind of testing is done carefully, the pattern holds up again and again. Weight savings show up clearly on steep, sustained climbs and nearly disappear into the noise everywhere else. It's unglamorous, methodical work, and it rarely makes it into a product launch, because it depends on your gradient doesn't sell nearly as well as a number stamped on a box. Now consider what the lightest components actually cost you beyond money. Shaving material out of a frame, a wheel, or a seat post means shaving out margin, the extra strength engineers normally build in to survive potholes, curb strikes, years of fatigue, and the occasional bad day. Some ultralight parts carry real weight limits for riders. Some have noticeably shorter realistic lifespans.
The lightest option on the wall is not always the smartest long-term purchase, even for a rider who would genuinely benefit from the grams on paper. And yet, professional teams still chase grams relentlessly, spending enormous budgets on marginal savings that, on their own, barely register. That isn't a contradiction of the physics, it's a different kind of math entirely. At the highest level of competition, a handful of seconds across a season can decide contracts, sponsorships, and races. When dozens of small gains are stacked together, a lighter frame here, a lighter wheel there, a slightly lighter bottle cage, the sum can matter, even when each individual piece barely would on its own. That stacking logic makes sense for a professional chasing a podium. It makes far less sense for a rider who isn't stacking anything else, buying one expensive gram-saving upgrade in isolation and expecting a professional-level result. Picture 3 riders standing at the base of the same climb. The first is a competitive amateur racer, already lean, already fit, already riding a well-fitted aerodynamic position, now deciding whether to spend on a lighter wheel set. For her, the gram chase is one of the few real levers left, and it may genuinely be worth the price. The second is a weekend enthusiast who rides mostly flat river paths and the occasional rolling loop, eyeing the exact same wheels because his riding partner just bought a set. For him, better tires and a more aerodynamic position would do more for his actual rides than those wheels ever will. The third is a new rider who just bought his first real road bike, worried that it's too heavy compared to what he sees online. For him, fitness, mileage, and simply riding more will outweigh every gram his frame could ever lose. Same obsession, 3 completely different verdicts. That's the part the marketing never shows you. So who should actually chase weight? Competitive climbers, riders racing on sustained steep terrain, and anyone already close to a weight limit where every gram has a direct, rule-relevant purpose. For that rider, in that context, the investment can make real sense because the margins between competitors at that level are thin enough for seconds to matter. And who probably shouldn't? Riders on flat and rolling terrain where aerodynamics is quietly doing most of the work. Recreational riders whose own body weight, hydration, and gear already dwarf the few hundred grams being marketed. And almost anyone who hasn't yet addressed the cheaper, bigger levers first: tires, riding position, pacing, and simply getting stronger. None of this means weight doesn't matter. It means weight matters conditionally, and the industry has spent decades selling it unconditionally because unconditional claims are easier to put on a box. So the next time a shop hands you 2 nearly identical bikes, 500 grams and $2,000 apart, you now have a better question to ask than which one is lighter. Ask where you actually ride. Ask how steep your climbs really are. Ask whether your tires, your position, or your fitness might be the faster, cheaper answer sitting right in front of you. The bike that wins isn't always the one that weighs less. It's the one that matches the physics of how you actually ride, and that's a decision no scale can make for you.